One thing that appears to be taking off is socialism in the United States, but its rise is driving a wedge into the Democratic Party. Democrats were nearly evenly split on Friday when the House voted on a Republican resolution to condemn socialism. 86 Democrats voted in favor, 98 against. Top leadership surprised some by voting yes. No surprise on some of the no votes. They included Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Maxine Waters, Jasmine Crockett, and Ilhan Omar. Democratic Senator John Fetterman, never afraid to criticize his own party. Listen to what he said.
Go to any place that live or have lived under socialism, 100% would vote to condemn it. I've spoke to people when I've been in those kind of former countries, and they say it's a disaster, and they can't believe America's even having this conversation. You know, there's that expression, you know, bad ideas just won't die. And I don't know why our party's going to talk about it for these things, but I would strongly reject it.
The House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries voted in favor of the condemnation, even as he faces a midterm primary challenge. Democratic Socialist Chi Osei announcing that he will run for the Brooklyn Democrat seat. Osei is looking to join fellow Democratic Socialist of America members in the House. They include AOC and Rashida Tlaib in Congress. When it comes to mayors, Zohran Mamdani and Katie Wilson's wins in the New York and Seattle mayor's races highlight recent socialist victories, and socialist Ray Wong is challenging Mayor Karen Bass in Los Angeles. To the power panel now, Rosemary Becchi, former Republican congressional candidate, and Doug Friednash, Democratic strategist. So, Doug, let's start with you, because let's take a look at that vote in the House to condemn socialism. 86 voted in favor of it, 98 against. The majority of your party is embracing socialism. What does that say about the future?
Well, first, thanks for having me. I would say it's complicated for the Republicans after President Trump's warm endorsement of Mayor-elect Mamdani last week. But first of all, look, socialism is a complete failure. I think Milton Friedman said it best. If you put the government in charge of the Sahara Desert, there'd be no sand. There'd be a sand shortage in 5 years. Americans still have a negative view of socialism. That hasn't changed much according to a Gallup poll since 2010. I do think that there is a fear among some Democrats that they feel like they have to inoculate themselves against primary left woke candidates. And I do think the question for the Democrats is, how big is our tent? Is it time to say Democratic Socialists aren't Democrats and start to reclaim our party before they continue to try to hijack it?
Well, I'm not sure that President Trump has got a problem just because he was nice to Zohran Mamdani in his first visit to the White House. I mean, after all, he will be the mayor of New York next year, and Donald Trump is born and bred in New York and probably wants to see this place succeed. But, Rosemary, I want to point you to this. This is Charlie Kirk earlier this year with some keen insights as to how young people might be drawn to socialism after Mamdani won the primary. Listen here.
Now, we should boo Zohran Mamdani, but we fail to understand why he is rising. Yeah, part of it is that people in New York are not like you wonderful people here in Florida. That's partially it. But there's a deeper thing at play. Younger voters are trying to get their leaders' attention. We can't afford anything.
Yeah, so, I mean, here's the problem for the Republicans. President Trump is trying to steer them toward this idea of affordability, but they're looking mostly at groceries and gas prices. They also need to look at health care. They need to look at housing affordability as well. And as of yet, they're not doing that.
No, I agree with you. And I certainly think that this is something that the Republican Party has to take a close look at. We've got to look at the affordability issue. And specifically, as you pointed out, we've got to look at healthcare, how to make healthcare more affordable. We've also got to look at housing, how to make housing more affordable, how to get more young people buying homes. That's certainly important. And frankly, we've got to figure out general affordability, also looking at our grocery prices and things like that, and returning some of that tariff money to Americans. So I think it's why we'll see Republicans look to push some packages, some potentially another reconciliation bill or something along those lines after the first of the year.
All right, well, we'll see if that happens. We're still a little ways away from that. Our own Laura Ingraham, by the way, says far-left Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has got her eyes on the White House. Quote, Republicans, as you fight amongst yourselves, she's building the most powerful political operation we have seen since Obama. In September, Axios reported that people familiar with her operation said she was positioning herself to run for either the presidency or the Senate in 2028. I've talked to a lot of Democratic strategists about this, Doug, and I said, is she going to primary Chuck Schumer in 2028? And they said, no, she's going to run for president, and there's probably a good chance that she'll win the nomination. What do you think?
I don't see it. I don't think that's where Democrats are. I don't think that's where the mainstream Democrats are. You look at Spanberger's win in Virginia, Shrill's win in New Jersey. I think centrist Democrats will still hold the day. I think AOC is unelectable as Democrat candidate.
All right, and then to this as a final topic for you. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was speaking at an event last weekend when a fire alarm interrupted it. That led to her sharing this.
You know what this reminds me of is I wish that there could be like a huge national sound system. And we would all wake up and they'd say, attention, attention, we have found the problem and we have solved it. He is gone.
By he, she means President Trump. Critics lit up social media. One post, daydreams don't change reality, but they can be entertaining. Back to the real world where we continue making America great. Another, she is abhorrent, and Clinton's daydreaming shows just how out of touch she is. I looked at that, Rosemary, and I thought, wow, Donald Trump has been living rent-free in her head for 9 years now.
Absolutely. And I think those comments are horrific. It's time to really focus on the issues and focus on what matters most.
And Doug, you want to take that on? Why?
Yeah.
She just can't seem to let him go.
I mean, words matter. I think her language was reckless and reprehensible, to be honest. I do think it also misses the point. I mean, this is not the right time in America to make comments like that. People are already on edge. And I do think it's also misses the larger point that, look, the MAGA movement's going to go on long after President Trump leaves office. And what he created is very different today than it was when he first got elected.
Yeah, and the question is, who's going to be the torchbearer? Will it be J.D. Vance? Will it be Marco Rubio? Will it be both of them together, or will it be somebody else? We'll see. Thanks very much for being with us, Rosemary. Doug, appreciate it.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.